I don't really engage with hype for much the same reason I don't lie down under a vibrating drainage outlet with my eyes and mouth pinned open, so I was a little thrown when editor Nick gave me a review code for a game I'd never heard of in my life and told me it was the most hotly anticipated new action-adventure of the year so far. Of course, that's no immediate indicator of quality. I mean, an enormous copious piss would be hotly anticipated if the bus driver was being an asshole about stopping for bathroom breaks for 6 hours, but it's not the sort of thing I'd try to impress my mates with, and a small amount of investigation revealed that Crimson Desert is one of those open-world action-adventures that come along now and again, usually to sucker in Kickstarter backers, that purport to do everything. So it's got soulsy combat and puzzles and base management and faction reputations and crafting and physics manipulation, and you can go anywhere with Breath of the Wild climbing mechanics, and try to imagine as I'm reading this a placid half smile on my face, as inside my brain a fucking gorilla with a siren light strapped to their head is going to town on a gigantic fuck-off alarm bell with a clapper with a big red flag on the end. We've been here before. Games that try to be about everything, on the rare occasions they escape the rigors of hype hell, always turn out to be games about nothing. Freakish, stitched together inferior versions of 9 other games with better focus, that we might as well play instead if we're in the mood for that. But I always give the benefit of the doubt if your name's not David Cage, so I gave Crimson Desert a shot, and it left a good initial first impression by, in defiance of expectations, being about something. Specifically, it's about an almost aggressively generic medieval fantasy world in which our protagonist is a big, hairy, angry Scotsman named, checks notes, Cliff. Cliff. As in Richard? As in Blazinski? That's our fantasy protagonist's name, is it? Cliff is the name of the asshole in the friend group who insists on doing 2 karaoke songs in a row. Not, wait Yahtzee, look! Cliff is spelled with a K! Oh, so it is. Sorry, Crimson Desert, never mind, as you were. Clifford, the Big Red Scotsman, is a member of a group called the Greymanes who do something. They're possibly some kind of mercenary group that travels the land doing good deeds because, I don't know, maybe they've got non-profit tax status. Well, whatever the fuck they do, it apparently put a bug right up the arse of another mercenary group of unclear purpose called the Black Bears, who kick the shit out of the Greymanes in the prologue and leave Cliff for dead, or possibly outright kill him. It's unclear. But Cliff comes back to life for equally unclear reasons, and then a weird thing happens. The distinct hook and villain established by that prologue mysteriously vanish. Cliff wakes up in a peasant village very conspicuously not under threat by the Black Bears, where some random bloke goes, "Hey, good to see you're up and about. Want to join me for a walk into town?" And then the critical path objective list basically has us putter around doing light favours for random people. We tip a beggar, we clean a chimney, we get a cat down from a roof, and generally channel the Pleasantville Fire Department, after which a goddess appears to us and goes, "Ah, you have proved you are a man of humility and goodness. Now I will introduce you to the god of the timelines, who will provide you with your quest and great godlike power." Ooh, that should come in handy when I'm enacting bloody revenge upon those Black Bear motherfuckers. Yeah, maybe don't lead with that, Cliff. Anyway, God tells us that our world is in imbalance and we need to sort it out by killing all the evil dudes in it or something, which is certainly easier than coming up with an actual plot. Am I right, devs? So the story element is like a blind bait shop assistant in that it fails to find a hook, but I did admire the way the game goes out of its way to avoid the BioWare face effect during conversations. Instead of maintaining fixed eye contact, the characters just wander a few steps away and then stop every now and again, like they're trying to escape an oblivious talkative person at a party. Other good points: the world is certainly very large and impressive, with much to explore and discover, which is much harder to appreciate when you're on a fucking deadline, but it's not like you people ever sympathise, and the game functions surprisingly well for all its multiple competing systems. The traversal and the physics never seem to bug out, and while I wouldn't bother engaging with the inevitable stealth option, because enemies spot you if you so much as think about loud things in their presence, the combat has a surprisingly decent feel. Souls-likey, but often against multiple targets in a nicely realised Batman Arkham sort of way. The problem, and it's a big one that undermines everything else, is that the controls are horribly clunky, which is a direct consequence of the We Do Everything remit, because it means at any moment we need to have access to the controls of 9 different gameplay systems. I kept accidentally pressing the analog stick in and bringing out my Gary's mod telekinesis power in the middle of a fight, and the enemy were singularly unimpressed by my ability to twiddle their nipples with no hands, and because pressing in the stick was reserved for that, we sprint by tapping A, as in that god-awful Euphoria engine style that was annoying enough while trying to find cover in Grand Theft Auto. When you're up against some of the relentless boss fights in this game, who keep spamming their bullshit attacks, it's like trying to escape from a swarm of angry hornets in a temperamental forklift. You've got so many moves and powers available, you need a fucking cheat sheet in your lap to remember all the button combinations. Hold both shoulder buttons to use your Shadow of the Colossus reflect the light from your sword to reveal secrets thing, but it only works if you've put your sword away first, so find the button that does that, but of course using it makes you get your sword out, so you have to put it away again to double check, and if you've gotten your pickaxe out to mine ore by selecting it twice and then very carefully aiming at the ore, because hey, maybe you intended to uselessly hit the bit of wall next to the ore, we don't know, and then you get ambushed on the way home and forgot you haven't unequipped your pickaxe and get humiliatingly raked across the ribcage while demonstrating your slow motion overarm swing. Perhaps the complex mechanics wouldn't be so bad if the game wasn't so bad at explaining them, something which caused multiple roadblocks on the critical path when yet another new mechanic got badly tutorialized. Assign a quest to an NPC follower to continue. How? I'm not seeing that in either of the 2 unrelated menus headed quests. Oh, I see, I was supposed to press Y on a very specific part of the map and then present 2 forms forms of ID at the door. But there's plenty to complain about that's unrelated to the mechanical glut. I don't feel like I'm getting stronger because it takes an hour-long sightseeing tour of popular mining hotspots to gather the materials to up my sword damage by like 2 if I'm lucky. I hate how you can't skip cutscenes, only play them at double speed, which still takes too long, but now you have to watch the characters frantically bob around like farmyard hens. I finally lost patience and rage quit at a specific boss fight, relying again on poorly explained mechanics that they forgot to put an autosave in front of, so after every attempt I had to farmyard hen bob my way through a lengthy cutscene and complete a tedious busywork open quotes physics puzzle in which I just had to Garry's Mod 4 cubes into the cube-shaped holes right next to them. No, enough. There's only one scenario in which I tolerate this much putting things in holes, and you don't look much like a peanut butter cup.